Hello, my name is Dan King. I'm Head of Maths at Cotham, and I'm just making this video to talk through how your son or daughter in Year 11 can make the most of this year in terms of making the best possible progress in their Maths GCSE and getting a really good result at the end of it. So you can see behind me, we're going to talk about the content and timings of when they do different topics within the Maths GCSE, the exam format, home learning, so what they're doing for homework and around exam papers there, and independent learning, different things they could be doing to revise and resources to support that. So behind me you can see the foundation tier topics that students would have done in Year 10. So this is students typically in sets 3, 4, 5 and 6, and most of those will be working towards foundation, although that is only decided a bit later on for sure whether it's foundation or higher. Foundation tier goes from grade 1 to 5, so it overlaps with higher tier. So you can see if they've been studying these foundation topics, they'll have done that in Year 10. And here you can see what they will be doing in Year 11. So you can see the topics have gradually got harder. There are some new topics still in Year 11 and others are building on the previous ones. So they need all of those Year 10 topics in order to be able to access those Year 11 topics well. For those who are doing the higher tier curriculum, typically those in sets 1 and 2, although some in set 3 as well, then you can see this is what they did in Year 10. And here we've got what they are going to be working on in Year 11. So you can see some mock exams, the rough dates there, and they will, after that second mock exam for all the Year 11 students, will make a final decision about whether higher or foundation tier is the right tier for them. And that will be, whichever we think is in their best interest to get the best possible grade. So if you need to pause it to look at the topics, please do so, obviously. In terms of the exam format, at the end of Year 11, so in May and June when they're doing their GCSEs, they'll have 3 separate papers for the GCSE in maths. Paper 1 will be no calculators allowed, so any numeracy content where it's checking they can use written and mental methods for number topics will all tend to be in that paper. They're allowed calculator for paper 2 and paper 3. Most topics could come up in any of the 3 papers. So there's not a separate list of topics for each paper. Any of the Maths GCSE could be covered in any paper. They're 90 minutes each, and as you can see behind me, we're using the AQA exam board. In order to prepare them for these exams and their mock exams, we're going to be giving them practice papers to do at home as their homework this year. So every 2 weeks they'll be given a new exam paper and they'll have 2 weeks to complete it. It should be around 90 minutes work at most, and what we're asking them to do is the first time they look at it, they don't need to do it in exam conditions, but to work through it in a quiet space where they can focus on it, try and do as much as they can, and then maybe in the second week have another look at the ones they were stuck on and use revision guides and other resources I'll mention in a few minutes to improve on those topics or get some help to understand them. If they're able to learn a couple of extra topics each time, revising things they've seen before and maybe forgotten, that will really help them. The idea is they're revising continually over the year by looking at these papers, as well as they're making themselves used to the exam paper format so there aren't any surprises on the day, and hopefully reducing their exam anxiety a bit because they're more used to it. You can see behind me an example of some feedback. So when they hand these papers in, either the teacher will mark them or students might do some of the marking themselves in class. The teachers will then collect the marks in for each student and will give out some feedback that will be individual to each student, looking something like behind me. So this, you can see, tells them topics they were good at, topics they need to do a bit more work on, and gives them a rough indication of the grade that their attempts might be at that time. All of these papers and the feedback will be kept in folders in class that they're welcome to take home at any point to use as part of their revision. When it comes to half terms and holidays, we also give them a paper to do his homework over that, but with a difference. We call these walking, talking mocks. The idea is that they have more of an experience of being told how to think through the questions they're finding difficult. So on Google Classrooms, there will be a video tutorial for each of these papers that can also be found, as you can see behind me, by scanning the QR code on the front. It will take them to a video walkthrough of the whole exam paper, with the idea being, if they can, let's say, answer 2/3 of the questions themselves without too much trouble, the other questions they were stuck on, they can skip to that particular bookmark in the video, and it will talk them through that entire question in detail. So hopefully this will teach them, each student, the different questions they need. They'll get some extra help on, and it will really help them improve, as well as seeing the sorts of thinking they need to do to answer the question. So I hope these will be really useful to all of our Year 11 students. You can see behind me here, this is a revision list that we give out to students and is also on Google Classrooms. This covers the entire GCSE maths syllabus. Behind me is about a quarter of it. It also has some revision guide page references, so if they have a revision guide they can look things up in that, and it has some shortcut codes for the website My Maths, so they can also look up some video tutorials or online guides to how to do things, as well as some self-assessment questions and so on. So lots of resources there linked into particular topics. One suggestion would be that if they're getting feedback from an exam or they're doing a particular topic in class, they could mark on here as they go things they find difficult, so that when they get to revising for their final exams or a mock exam, they're not looking at the whole list for the whole course, but looking at particular things they found difficult to have another go at. Other resources for independent learning. So you can see behind me, we've got the main textbooks we use in class. They are welcome to get their own copy out from the school library and take that home. It's also on the website Caboodle as an online version. The benefit of that is it has a few links to, again, videos and the My Maths website taken straight to that particular topic. If they want to get revision guides, we'd particularly recommend the CGP ones, but they can get them at a big discount from the school, and they're paid for using WisePay on the school website in the same way as school lunches. I've mentioned the website My Maths before. The other main one we'd recommend is Sparks Maths. So I'll show you that now, along with two other websites that are particularly useful for exam practice. So for Sparks Maths, they should have used this in Year 10 for their homework, so it should be reasonably familiar to them. Because we're now doing exam papers for homework in Year 11, the main thing they could be doing on this is looking at the independent learning. When they look at this, they can look up any topic in the whole syllabus. They can choose the right level for foundation or higher and so on. And again, the whole thing is covered in lots of detail, tutorial videos, self-assessment questions. A really, really useful website I definitely recommend lots. Another website here behind me, if they want to see written exam questions, Maths Genie is particularly good. It's split up the whole syllabus roughly by the grade of difficulty for each topic, although it won't be exact. So if a student's aiming for a grade 4, they can have a selection of topics that are particularly important to get that grade, and a different student aiming for a grade 7 can find topics relevant to them, and so on. It has all the work solutions explaining how to do all of them, and lots of practice. Another similar website is Corbett Maths. This one isn't split up by grade, but it has a very comprehensive directory of every single topic in the whole GCSE. Again, all the work solutions there, so they can get lots of practice. For lots of students, they may find having to just look at books or videos online maybe doesn't always do what it needs in terms of helping motivate them or explain things as well as they wanted. So the final thing I'm going to recommend today is we've got a maths homework club that runs twice a week, every Monday and every Wednesday after school. It's in room A209, where we have a computer suite, so they can use that for online resources. They can bring in particular their exam papers to work on, and it's staffed by teachers as well as A-level Year 13 mathematicians. So there's lots and lots of help available. Typically, if they go to that, they will get one-on-one support for at least some of it. I would recommend that they consider coming with a friend to work with, because then they can support each other and it's more enjoyable. But in terms of really boosting their progress, we have some students who come regularly and it's very noticeable how they're improving. So they can get help with revision, with the exam papers, with homework, anything at all. The Maths Homework Club is an excellent place to start. It runs for an hour until 3:45, but it's a drop-in session. So they can come for just 5-10 minutes if they want and ask for help with one particular question. We'd be more than happy to help them with that, and then they're welcome to go again. That's absolutely fine. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any further questions, please do just get in touch with your child's maths teacher, who will be more than happy to help. Thanks for listening.